Hello, all you swing shifters out there, and welcome to Undeclared Bajor.
I seriously forgot first a moment when you said that what swing shift had to do with anything.
Right.
I was like, oh, no, okay, yeah, right.
My name is Fletcher. About to say hello is Data.
Hey!
Today we're going to recap and discuss Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 5, Episode 5, The Assignment. Alternate title, Is It Cake? Oh?
Oh, I get it.
We know this may be your first time watching Deep Space Nine, or you may never have seen Deep Space Nine, so we will attempt to only discuss spoilers up through this episode, but minor spoilers for later in the series are possible, and all other spoilers for everything else in the universe are likely, so...
All in the same episode.
Everything
will be spoiled.
Right. The Assignment originally aired October 28th, 1996. It was written by, and oh boy, here we go, David Weddle and Bradley Thompson. Story by David R. Long and Robert Letterman. And directed by Alan Croker. Possibly the brother of Giff Croker. I don't know.
Bradley Thompson and David Weddle we've seen once before.
Oh, really? I did not recognize their names.
They did Rules of Engagement together.
Oh, is that the Wharf on Trial episode?
Yes.
Okay.
And then they will do a few more Deep Space Nines after this, but this is their second foray into Deep Space Nine.
Okay.
And these are, I believe, if I remember correctly, these are the guys who did the Sam Peckinpah biography or whatever.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So I guess their first one went over so well that they were like, okay, let's have him back.
Like one of them did the Sam Peckinpah biography and then he brought on his friend or something like that?
Yeah, that's what it was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, let's see. Letterman and Long, they've done one Deep Space Nine before, Improbable Cause, back in Season 3, which that was the Garrick blows up his shop episode.
Oh, yes.
And so, but
Wow,
Letterman...
So I thought these were all new people, but they're all apparently, like, have been here before.
Well... Long worked with Letterman on that other one. Letterman's done a bunch of stuff, like as editor on different Star Treks, and even directed a couple. Iborg was one of the ones that he directed. So I guess Long is just like his buddy who works on stuff with him. Alan Croker, the director, on the other hand, this is his first Star Trek, so he's brand new. Interestingly, he will go on to become a very important Star Trek director, as he will direct lots of episodes of Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise, including the series finale of each of those series.
Oh, wow. So he did the series finale of Deep Space Nine?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Also directed episodes of Battlestar Galactica, Firefly,
Sure.
Jake 2.0. I like both the 1980s and the 2000s revivals of the Twilight Zone. So he's all over
nice.
Twilight Zones, Andromeda, Roswell, Charmed, Earth Final Conflict, William Shatner's Tech War, Covert Affairs, Bones, Pushing Daisies, and Supernatural. So this guy is directing all over.
He
TV.
is a working director.
Yep.
Nice.
And this is his introduction to the Star Trek universe.
Nice. Welcome, Alan Croker, to Star Trek 30 years ago.
I like there's a picture of him looking at Jake on his entry in the Memory Alpha thing. I'm like, yeah, maybe he could be Kiff's brother. Just make him green. I could see it.
All right. Kiff's half-human brother or something.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, Cirroc Lofton is in this episode.
He gets to go to a party. Good for him.
Yep. He gets to ask about the paw wraiths. So yeah, diving into this recap. So it's morning in Quark's bar, and Quark seems to be in a good mood. He tells Morn there's nothing like breakfast in a bar, which I don't think I've ever had breakfast in a bar.
I feel like in my mind, like in England, you go to a pub for breakfast and they do full English or something. But yeah, I don't think I have. Well, I think I went to an English pub in like San Antonio once and got like a Scotch egg for breakfast.
Yeah, hard to say. But where else can you get raw slug liver first thing in the morning?
It's hard to come by.
Do slugs even have livers? I don't know, and I'm too lazy to Google.
Ferengi slugs do.
Sure.
Okay, hold on. Do slugs
have livers?
The main part of the digestion takes place in the main digestive gland, a specialized gland taking most of the place in the visceral sac. It also contains... It is also called a hepatopancreas, being both liver and pancreas.
Okay.
So, kind of.
So it has kind of a primitive equivalent of a liver, I guess. Rom comes into the bar and takes a seat, and Quark presents him with a plate of puree of beetle. But Rom doesn't want puree of beetle today. Today he wants 2 eggs over easy, 3 strips of bacon, and a side of corned beef hash. Which sounds delicious. But I would like to take this opportunity to complain about something at work that's been annoying me.
Okay.
I think you probably already know what it is.
Okay, possibly.
But, so, not too long ago they switched to the pay-by-weight system.
Yep.
And I think we'd even discussed the loophole that you can, like, put, like, 50 strips of bacon in the box.
Yep.
And, like, it costs, like, 50 cents. And they have closed that loophole.
Yep, I heard about that.
So they put a sign over the breakfast that says, "You must use the bacon button to pay for bacon."
Yeah, and apparently they sent out an email a while back.
Oh.
Because I was talking about someone to someone else, and they were like, "Did you not read that email?" Yeah, it's like for weeks you're supposed to be using the bacon button, and it charges you like 60 cents per strip of bacon.
I did not. I mean, I don't read. It is probably in the news emails they send out or something. But
yeah, I don't read that stuff.
I have a rule that sends those to a special folder, and I just immediately delete them.
Nice.
But yep. So I went to buy bacon today. I spent $3 on 5 strips of bacon. It was, but I got there early today, and the muffins were still hot, so that was good.
I'm not a big fan of corned beef hash, but
I don't
I'll
eat
eat the eggs and the bacon.
I don't eat a lot of corned beef hash. I mean, if it's anything just like regular corned beef, I imagine it's pretty good. But
I mean, it's like you mince up the corned beef and the vegetables together.
I don't know. I mean, that's a breakfast I think I would eat, but Rom, I don't know what Quark charges for bacon. Maybe 60 Latinum cents per strip. Okay. Complaining over. I just wanted to use this forum to put that grievance out into the universe. But Quark is disappointed with Rom's low standing as a night shift engineer working on the waste extraction or whatever, the code for toilets.
Honestly, it's probably still better than working for Quark.
And reminds him he could be working at the bar staring at half-naked Dabo girls, which him saying that made me rethink my job for sure. But
no, I've seen how he treated Rom when he worked. And also,
true.
We've had multiple episodes about how Quark treats his employees, and I'm not working there.
Yeah, good point. But that is a perk that would be nice. But Rom isn't moved and holds firm to the belief that one day he'll start climbing that engineering ladder. The metaphorical one, not literal.
Yeah, he climbs ladders all the time, probably.
Meanwhile, in the O'Brien quarters, Chief O'Brien and Dr. Bashir look over Keiko's dead bonsai trees. Apparently they died while Keiko's been away on Bajor visiting the fire caves. I guess for botany-related reasons.
Yeah, I think she talks about it later, how
she
there's
had some
like
funguses
special botan or whatever, yeah.
And they died possibly, or I'd say likely, due to Bashir's accidental overwatering.
Well, why is Bashir just entering your quarters when you're not there and doing this sort of thing? But B, if that is the thing that's going to happen, why was he not informed of the needs of the plants?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's I don't water other people's plants when I'm not asked to. So no matter how sick they're looking.
Even if I'm asked to, I don't know.
I'll like, if I'm asked to do it every day for a week, I'll go and do one big water on like the middle of the week.
Yeah.
Call it a day.
Close enough.
Then Molly comes in and says, "Daddy's in trouble."
Like, this kid is so sassy in this episode, and I'm here for it.
Molly knows what's going on in this episode.
Yep.
The chief tries to get Molly to come to the airlock to greet Mommy when she comes home. But Molly is now old enough to know to dodge that bullet. She's like, nope.
He's like, and then you can tell Mommy what happened. She's like, nah, I'm good.
I'm not falling for that. I'm not 5 anymore. Bashir recommends bringing Keiko her favorite chocolates, but he also takes a page from Molly's book and bails.
Yeah, he's like, honestly, if O'Brien had showed up at the airlock with Bashir instead of Molly, that would have been even weirder than what happens.
Yep. Up in the upper pylon, which, did she dock in the upper pylon and the ship left, and then they just stayed there, or did he take her up to the upper pylon to bring her this news?
I assume it's like the ship docked and you just couldn't see it. It was off screen.
Oh, okay. But Miles tries to explain to Keiko about the plants, but she's not upset, as she munches on those delicious looking chocolates.
She does enjoy the chocolate, yeah. She enjoys the heck out of those chocolates.
Yeah. I was thinking just today, before I even watched the episode, like, I haven't had like good chocolates in a while. And those were tempting me further.
We got the chocolate store downtown.
Oh. I mean, I was just going to go to like Walmart and get like
that's not good
chocolates.
chocolates.
Russell Stover's or something, but then Keiko's like, "Okay, here's the deal. I'm not your wife and you're going to do what I say." At first the chief thinks it's a fun sex thing.
It is amusing how he's like, "Oh yeah? Yeah, what are you going to tell me to do?" He's like, ugh.
But then the thing inhabiting Keiko threatens to kill Keiko, and as a demonstration of its power, sends Keiko into painful spasms or something.
Yeah, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Apparently it was not like permanently debilitating.
Right. It made her nose bleed just a little bit. So with its credentials established, the being makes matters clear. If the chief doesn't follow its instructions, it will stop Keiko's heart. Forever. Which I felt was kind of implied when she said,
right.
"I'll stop her heart." But O'Brien agrees, but only if it won't put the station in danger. Luckily, Keiko Thing only wants him to change a few small settings in the systems or whatever. But she warns him she has access to all of Keiko's memories, and Keiko has been paying attention to Star Trek. So she knows he's probably thinking of some kind of stasis field or something to trap her. So don't even think about that. Because It only takes a split second to kill her.
Probably. I mean, I feel like it took a couple of seconds to go into the spasms. So
yeah, but she wasn't like fully trying when she did that or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Later in their quarters, O'Brien asks why take possession of Keiko and not the chief himself. But the answer to this question is interrupted by a visit from Bashir, and we never hear the reason.
We never go back to that very valid question.
It's like the writers wanted to lampshade that, but did not want to put enough effort into it to actually answer that question.
They didn't have an explanation, but they knew you would ask that question, so they're going to get ahead of you.
It's like, maybe if we just say the question, and then distract them, they'll think we answered it.
We'll imply that there is an answer, because Keiko will like start to say something, but then we'll cut it off so we don't actually have to write it.
Keiko was about to say, "Oh yeah, it would be more useful to just have like you and all your memories, wouldn't it?" During this visit, Keiko's upcoming surprise birthday party for Miles is spoiled.
Oh no.
But stuff is kind of already spoiled based on what's happening.
Well, yeah, I mean, he wasn't going to have fun regardless. But so apparently in the story, O'Brien's birthday what becomes O'Brien's birthday party was going to be a Bajoran religious holiday like festival. But as you may have noticed, Nana Visitor does not appear in this episode because early in the production of this episode she went into labor, and so they're like, okay, well we'll have to make it something else because we don't have Kira here for the Bajoran all day.
They couldn't say she was just down on the planet celebrating with Shakar or something?
I don't know. I don't know. It probably plays into like the focus on the O'Brien couple better also.
Maybe. Then Rom reports for duty on the swing shift, so he's moving on up.
Yep.
He is quite pleased. Then the chief calls and gives all the swing shift guys their assignments, but he's going to be working alone and doesn't want to be interrupted.
One of the only times we see that there are, in fact, other engineers doing work on this station.
So, like, when Muniz died, there were still plenty of other guys to take his place.
I mean, one of them isn't even here. He's sick as a vole.
Right.
Is an expression, apparently.
I was like, are voles known for getting sick?
They're so hard to keep as pets. They're always getting sick.
So O'Brien gets to work in the plasma conduit and has the computer scan Keiko for anomalies, but none are found. Then he starts asking the computer about various ways to knock Keiko out, but none are fast enough. And apparently the computer doesn't consider this a red flag.
I mean, I feel like the gas, it's pretty quick, and like the alien would have to know that something was going on to react, and so like unless the gas is super obvious, like I feel like it should still work.
Yeah, maybe like a nice odorless gas. Yeah. But I guess he just doesn't want to risk it.
One of the guys in the engineering on the engineering swing shift is called Abdon, and he was like clearly an alien, but it's not an alien that we have established. The makeup is extremely similar to a Delta Quadrant species that appears on Voyager, but it seems unlikely that those are the same. So it's just like we don't know what's up with this guy.
Nice. But we learned you can just ask the computer what would happen if I shot my wife with a phaser, and the computer just will not take notice of that.
I mean, look, it's completely it's just for knowledge. It's not like a threat or anything. Like it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's not scholastic. It's
like academic.
Academic. Thank you. That's the word I was not. Yeah.
Later, he shows up to his birthday party where they sing "For He's a Jolly Good Fellow," which I suddenly wonder do people ever actually sing that song for people's birthday, or is that just something that they do on TV so that they don't have to risk the tricky happy birthday song?
Yeah,
copyright issue.
As far as I can tell, it was just for TV. Because Happy Birthday was copyrighted until I think it's out of copyright now, so you can do it now.
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff about that story about like whether the copyright claim on that song was actually legit or not, but nobody wanted to test it.
No, yeah, I mean, why risk it when you can just sing "For He's a Jolly Good Fellow," which I guess nobody cares about.
Right. Then O'Brien blows out his one candle and makes a wish, which I think we all know what his wish is.
I wish that it had been a sex thing after all.
Yeah. Psych. Then Keiko hands him a dangerously full glass of single malt Irish whiskey.
Yep.
Which I got a hangover just looking at. I mean, seriously, that thing was like a sextuple of whiskey. But O'Brien's like, all right, I'll take it.
He needs it, man.
Yeah. Then Jake asks Keiko if she saw any paw wraiths in the fire caves. Paw wraiths? What's that? Says Keiko. Then the chief has a little episode and accidentally breaks his glass. And then I imagine everybody just thinks, oh, right, this is his first birthday since, the whole thing. Where he spent 20 years in psychic prison.
Yep. Apparently we established previously that his birthday is in September. So that tells us that this episode takes place in September of 2373.
All right. Time nailed down.
Also, interesting as it relates to this party. So, Irish Stephen Bear assigns David Weddle and Bradley Thompson to do the teleplay for the episode, yeah? And they're like, oh man, what direction are we going to go? Because we got the general like concept of what's going on. Because that comes from like... the story. Letterman and Long come up with the story.
Uh-huh.
And the original story is like Keiko goes on a biological expedition to a planet inhabited by non-corporeal beings, and then she comes back and one of the beings goes with her. It's kind of like that episode where the same exact thing happens to O'Brien in The Next Generation. And Renee Echevarria they changed the premise of the story so that it focuses more on like this possession aspect. Originally it was like mostly about her being held hostage by the alien. But anyway, so that's the idea they have going into the teleplay. They have this general idea.
Okay.
And they're like, how do we approach this? I don't... Like, what direction we take to get into the story? And so they go and talk to Hans Beimler, and he's like, oh, well, I mean, obviously, this is another O'Brien Must Suffer episode. And he sums up the tone of the show as follows. Everyone comes over for a party when you're having a huge fight with your wife, and she acts as if everything is perfectly normal. And so, after this discussion, Weddle and Thompson are like, oh, we got it. And they go and get the teleplay written. So, that's... This party encapsulates that concept at the heart of the way they went with the story.
Ah, okay. Well, yeah, once alone with Keiko, Miles tells her he did everything she asked, but she reveals that was only a test. And now it's time for the real work. And then she proves how evil she truly is by putting all that delicious-looking chocolate cake in the replicator. It was like half of a cake. She just threw it away.
Didn't she just get it out of the replicator? I guess she talked about how long she spent cooking. And there was a lot of talk about the whatever it was that she made that was apparently very difficult to make.
I mean, I guess they can just replicate another cake if they want, but...
Yeah.
It just seemed like such a shame. Miles wants to sleep on the couch, but Keiko thing insists on sleeping together to keep Molly from getting suspicious.
Because if Molly's suspicious, who knows what might happen.
And couldn't you just tell Molly, oh, I'm not feeling well, so I'm sleeping on the couch tonight?
Right.
But then when he's alone for a minute, the chief asks the computer for a list of all the legends about the Pa Wraiths. But there are over 6,000 of them. So he doesn't have time to listen to those.
Well, also, like, she instantly just, like, quietly calls out, like, Miles.
Right.
It's like, she absolutely heard him talk to the computer and ask for that. I'm just saying.
Yep.
But so, first episode, maybe only episode, who knows, where the Pa Wraiths are mentioned.
Right. This sudden introduction of a huge piece of Bajoran lore.
But the concept of the Pa Wraiths dates back to the first season episode, The Nagus. So, apparently, way back then, in the, like, Jake and Ben were supposed to go to the fire caves. And there was a line in the original teleplay where Cisco is told jokingly, like, watch out for the Pa Wraiths. And Robert Hewitt Wolf, who wrote that, or came up with the idea or whatever, says that he, at the time, pictured it as, like, a cool goblin-y kind of thing that superstitious people thought was hiding in the fire caves. So then, when Echevarria is trying to... Renee Echevarria is working on the concept here, and he wants to tie what's going on into the mythology of Deep Space Nine. He doesn't want it to be some random non-corporeal thing that possesses her. He wants to find a way to, like, make it part of the show. And so they dig all the way back to that reference, and they decide that didn't actually air, and was like, okay, well, we're gonna use that in here. Although it has apparently since then led to some discussion or some debate, because Wolf says that way back then, when it's first in the script or whatever here, the spelling is PAGH dash WRATITHS, sorry, Pa Wraiths.
Okay.
And so Wolf is like, that's the correct spelling. Whereas David Weddle is like, nah, that's not right. Like, the way that with the PAH that I wrote it, that's the correct one. And then, like, to justify that, he's like, well, look, if you go back to the ancient Bajoran, then it's like the PAH. The G's were added centuries later when the Seventh Hemisphere became more influential.
Seventh Hemisphere?
Yeah. Like, who knew that there were so many hemispheres?
Yep. What good natural continuation of that conversation we were having 1 second ago.
Yep.
And that hasn't been cleverly edited together. after internet outage.
So anytime it comes up, if it ever is to come up again, just remember that there's forever going to be a debate on the correct spelling of Pa Wraith.
So the no G is the ancient spelling. And then so I guess there was the great vowel shift, but it was the great G adding shift.
Yep. In
Bajoran orthography. So okay. So yeah, I was just imagining it's like okay, legend number 1: the Pa Wraiths went down to Bajorgia. Just had to get that stupid
for some souls to steal.
Yep. Okay, so anyway, the next morning, Miles wakes up and tries to get a little something from Keiko, but then remembers she's a Pa Wraith or something now, so he sours on that idea. Then Keiko gets out of bed and makes a not-so-veiled threat against Molly, then hands the chief his list of instructions. Once he's alone, the chief tries to go talk to Captain Sisko, but he's interrupted when Keiko Thing calls him from one of the promenade walkways and then just jumps off.
So, the day before when she was testing him, she stayed in their room and didn't follow him. But today, she immediately goes to the promenade. Maybe, I don't know, maybe she's got the computer set up to tell her when he leaves certain areas or something, because apparently you can query other people's locations however much you want. So
if she would have just given him the real plans to begin with, the whole mission would be over by now. But
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, Keiko goes to the infirmary where she reminds Miles that she has all of the real Keiko's thoughts and memories, and nobody knows him better than she does. So don't even try anything again. And you have 13 hours for some reason.
Keiko is Bashir diagnoses her with a hairline fracture of the right parietal lobe. And I'm like, but that's not a...
Is that a thing that can get fractured?
Yeah. And then there's a note, I thought when I was watching the episode, I was like, wait, how do you do that? And then there's a note in here that in the script, it was the right parietal bone. But I guess the line was delivered incorrectly and they did not bother to fix it.
Read the lines. Did you see that interview with Jonathan Frakes where he talked about coming back to direct Star Trek Picard?
No, I don't think so.
And it's all the actors now, it's everybody just wants to ad-lib and nobody wants to stick to the lines. And he found it very frustrating.
Well, Patrick Stewart wouldn't do something like that.
I don't think he was talking about Patrick Stewart, but he was just please show the writers some respect and at least try to say the lines as they're written.
I really do like how this is probably the best possible moment to tell somebody about what's going on with Keiko, because she is being treated for stuff. If Bashir comes in and jabs her with a hypo spray, it's not gonna be suspicious because she is under treatment for severe injuries. So go to the other room and be like, there's an alien that's taken over Keiko. We need to knock her out.
Yep.
But no, he's immediately just, it's yes, alien master, I will obey you.
I feel like O'Brien fumbles the ball several times during this, but I guess just the stress of having your wife possessed by an evil entity can do that to you. I don't know.
Probably.
So down in the tunnels where work happens, the chief works to obey the Keiko Wraith's tasks. Then he's interrupted by Rom. Rom has made quick work of his assignment on the swing shift, which gives O'Brien an idea. He gives Rom a special assignment, telling him not to tell Captain Sisko or any of the others who know, but just don't talk about it because it's so super secret.
Yeah.
And Rom's like, oh yeah, I'm on board. And they may have to pretend they don't know. Rom's like, oh sure, of course.
Sounds 100% legit because I'm Rom and I'm not all that bright.
Yeah, but Rom is up to the task. He won't even give anybody his name, or at least he won't confirm it, which he stays true to later on. Then they do a little bit of a engineering montage, but then the chief gets interrupted by Dax. She's been checking for anomalies in her sleepless night.
Yeah, she couldn't sleep, so she decided to scan the wormhole for some anomalies at 3 a.m. or whatever.
Anomalies are relaxing, apparently. And she found that something's off. Diagnosis: sabotage. Dax presents her findings to Odo, Cisco, and the Chief. O'Brien has to play along, but tries to downplay the sabotage angle. Then he gets a call from Molly where Keiko brushes her hair sinisterly and makes veiled threats. And then after the call, O'Brien goes back to the group and Cisco's like, "You were saying how you think you know who the saboteur is?" Which he definitely wasn't. But he quickly comes up with the obvious scapegoat.
It's kind of mean.
Yeah, but I guess he's got a plan or something. I don't know. Cut to Rom hard at work, and Odo puts a hand on his shoulder and drags him away. But Rom stays silent, and O'Brien gets to work on what Rom was working on, saying he better see what the damage was that Rom was doing. True to his word, it took Rom 40 minutes to even admit his name.
I did like that. Like, the ridiculous conversation was like, I won't even tell them my name. It's like, Rom, everyone knows your name. Well, I won't confirm it. And then you get Odo being like, it took us 40 minutes to get him to confirm his name. I was like, you go, Rom.
Yep.
You're living up to your promises.
Yep. Rom is apparently, he's a guy you want on board, I guess, to keep a secret. So Odo calls O'Brien to come talk to Rom, and then O'Brien has the computer scramble the security surveillance channels, which I was like, wouldn't that send an immediate red flag to Odo?
Yeah.
Which it did.
I mean, even if he didn't get like an alert pop up, as soon as Odo left the room, he went to like look at the monitors to see what O'Brien and Rom were talking about, and then couldn't. So
I was like, did he do the bus that wouldn't slow down trick, or what was he doing? So the Chief goes to the holding cells to talk to Rom, assuring him the listening devices are deactivated. Then Rom asks why they're trying to kill the wormhole aliens. O'Brien is confused, and Rom explains that, well, they're about to shoot a chronoton beam at the wormhole, which would kill the prophets instantly. Luckily, Rom is somehow an expert on the physics of the prophets.
And the legends and stuff, because he's going out with Lita.
Right. Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has been telling Rom all the stories about the Paw Wraiths, and he's really knowledgeable. So yeah, they used to live in the Celestial Temple with all the prophets, but they were false prophets and were exiled to the fire caves and trapped in, quote, crystal fire cages.
I want to see one of those.
Yeah, I gotta see one of these crystal fire cages. So O'Brien puts it all together. If the prophets are killed, the Paw Wraiths can return to the Celestial Temple.
I mean, if they can get out of those cages.
Yeah. But
this one did, I guess. Maybe Keiko opened the cage.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like, come here. So I opened the cage.
There's some cool fungus in that cage. I better get in there.
Don't you want to see some fungus? Just like, put in the code 1, 2, 3, 4. I just love the Chief's attitude. It's like, oh, I don't care about the prophets or the wormhole aliens. Yeah, kill them all you want.
What does it matter to me?
Yeah.
I do wonder how the rest of the series would have gone if the prophets were to die here and the Paw Wraiths take over the Celestial Temple.
Could make for some interesting stories. You never know. Maybe they put the surviving prophets in the crystal fire cages, and then I don't know. But with 12 minutes left on his totally arbitrary clock, the Chief rushes to the place he was working to make some last-minute tinkers. But he's interrupted with Odo, who just starts a classic Odo, Sherlock Holmes, putting it all together speech, which the Chief doesn't have time for, so he just punches Odo in the face.
Yep, bashes him in the side of the head, and Odo goes down. For a moment there, I'd forgotten that he was a solid.
Me too.
And I was like, why is that a fact? Oh, right. Yeah,
I had totally forgotten that Odo is human now. So I was like, oh, yeah. He's susceptible to being punched now.
Yep. And I feel like Odo is very sore about this at the end of the episode.
Yeah, he definitely gives the Chief a meaningful look while rubbing his jaw.
And you wonder why Odo doesn't trust people.
Right.
Like this is why.
So the Chief calls Keiko to meet him at the runabout pad, which is that the first time we've seen this runabout elevator thing?
No, I feel like we've seen it before.
Oh, okay. And they fly off towards the wormhole together.
You know what? It just occurred to me, in a very recent episode, Odo was talking shit about O'Brien, so maybe O'Brien heard about it, and he's getting even here.
Yes. It's it makes it all the sweeter. He's like, oh, you want those upper pylon upgrades, huh? Then there's a little fake moment of suspense when he's talking to Dax, and she's like, there's just one thing I want to ask you. Did you enjoy your birthday?
What a random time to ask that. You've seen him multiple times since that birthday party.
Right. Oh, yeah, wasn't that whole, her sniffing out the saboteur after his birthday
that's
party?
all been since then.
So, once at the wormhole, the chief fires the chronoton beam, not at the wormhole, but at the runabout.
Which I swear takes, so many seconds to kill this entity. There's no way this was better than in the anesthetizine gas.
Yeah, but I mean, this affects the entity directly.
That's true.
Not, if you just knock out Keiko, I think the entity inside her still has time to figure out what's going on and do its damage.
Maybe.
But yeah, so Keiko just starts spewing lightning all over the place, then falls down.
As you do.
Back on the station, real Keiko confirms what we might have guessed, that the Pa Wraith didn't intend on letting either one of them live.
Honestly, I hadn't thought about it through most of the episode, but as soon as she said it, I was like, oh, well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, in that situation, you should always just assume that they intend to kill you at the end. Never go to a second location with a kidnapper.
Yeah, that's classic kidnapper advice.
Then Rom walks into Quark's and announces he's been promoted to the day shift.
And just blew right through that swing shift.
So is the engineering crew on the 4-shift schedule, or what's going on here?
Yeah, because there would have to be more than those 3 shifts, right? And you assume by the in-between one being called the swing shift that's the only... Yeah, no, I don't know.
Maybe there's a one called the second swing shift or something like that. I don't know.
I'm going to look up the names of 4 shifts. Fixed shift, split shift, graveyard shift... Maybe graveyard shift is even worse than night shift.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not possible that the writers just forgot about the whole 4-shift thing.
No.
That they spent so long dwelling on in previous episodes.
It has been the running theme behind the scenes on this series is the switch from the 3 shifts to the 4 shifts.
Right. But yeah, so the standard breakfast now is a short stack of pancakes with lots of butter. I gotta admit, that sounds pretty good.
Well, it does, but he's just like, that's the breakfast of choice on the day shift. And I was just like, I'm pretty sure the other people on your shift could not care less what you eat for breakfast, right. My man. Just come up with something that you like. I mean, I don't have a problem with him trying new things.
Sure.
Quark's like, oh man, what's it going to be next? Coffee? And Rom's like, oh, that actually sounds like it might be good.
Yep.
So just, by all means. But don't be like, well, I'm on this shift now, so I have to eat this.
Pretty standard Rom logic, but...
It is, but it just feels so try-hard for, anyone else who works with him to be like, yeah, I'm eating what you guys eat for breakfast now. And they're just like, oh, dude, really?
But also he has a side of sausage and pineapple. So I don't know if I've ever had pancakes with pineapple.
No.
So I'm curious now, though.
I feel like the sausage and the pineapple might go, depending on what kind of sausage. I don't think I'd combine them with the pancakes, but I do like that he's like, yeah, I found bacon doesn't agree with me, so I'm going to go for sausage instead, which is not all that different, I guess, once again, depending on what kind of sausage.
Yeah. And Rom's tired because he's been out celebrating with his crewmates, including Latana, who is suddenly very interested in him.
Yeah,
so
was that
what's going on there?
I mean, is that someone on his new shift that suddenly they're like, "Hey, let's party," even though you just got transferred to our shift? Or
right? I don't know. But Quark plays the good brother and acts happy, but he's like, "Come on, pineapple." The end.
Nothing wrong with pineapple, except on a pizza.
Yeah, unless you're a Ferengi. I like pineapple on the pizza.
Notes on this episode, just a couple more. This episode went into production after Trials and Tribulations, but it aired the week before, presumably due to the lengthy post-production on Trials and Tribulations.
Sure.
So, spoiler for next time, lengthy post-production was involved.
You might spot some things in that episode that might have taken some lengthy post-production.
Big space battles, giant alien monsters, who knows?
Yep, could be anything.
And the one other one I have is Colin Meaney talks about this episode. He says, that was great. Roz's performance in that I thought was spectacular. It was the first time she really had an opportunity to do her thing. You got to see her range in a way you hadn't before, playing Keiko and the alien horror. From my end of it, it was good writing, good drama. It was a solid piece to have Miles do something against his will, to have him be coerced. It was a good episode, very strong.
I did enjoy her performance as the evil Keiko.
Yeah, and I mean, he makes a good point that it's like, Keiko really has not gotten much to do up till now. Like, they kicked her off the show for long periods of time, I think specifically because, like, they didn't have anything for her to do. Except for, like, be whiny.
Right.
Which I think was really an injustice to the character and the actress. So, coming up with a way to give her something to do, and she does it really well.
Yeah.
I think was a good idea.
Yep. Yeah. I want to check out that 3-Body Problem show that has her in it. Shows some Keiko support. Comes out in a few months.
I don't know anything about it. So
yeah, I just know it's based on a book series, but I don't know anything about it. It's something about aliens.
Sure, I mean that makes sense with the title.
China and aliens. Review time.
Yep.
Review of the episode.
What did you think?
There's a lot I like about this episode. So one of the things I like about this episode is it does a good job of... This is a Chief O'Brien episode, and Chief O'Brien comes up with a solution. Like, he doesn't... I kind of like that he never runs and tells somebody and then, like, Dax figures the whole thing out or something like that. It's like, you know, he's under this pressure the whole time, and then he comes up with this whole... It's like, wait, if the Chronoton beam would kill the Prophets, wouldn't it also kill the Pa Wraith? Which is
good chance.
Which is pretty risky, but it
works out.
I like so like we said, I like the whole evil Keiko. Like, I remembered this episode because a lot of times we watch episodes and at first I'm like, oh, I don't remember this, but then like, you know, like halfway through I'm like, oh, I remember how this turns out or whatever.
Yeah.
And on this one, I remembered almost every part of the episode, but I didn't remember how it ended. And then I was like, and then when it got there, I was like, oh, that's a cool solution.
Yeah.
So I liked that. But overall, even though I don't really have anything I disliked about the episode, I felt like it was still kind of in like a pretty good, but mostly just fine territory. So...
Okay.
I mean, you know, it's like just watchable and kind of fun, but it didn't have that kind of like, ooh, this is good, that kind of always kicks me into like commander range. So I think I'm going to keep it at lieutenant commander, but I mean, that's still above the line. That's still like a, you know, overall positive review. It was just, you know, just a solid episode, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
So what do you think?
So for me, I've complained, I think maybe as recently as last episode, about these episodes that are just like so laser focused on a character to like the detriment of the ensemble. Because really, there's such a big ensemble here. And I think the interplay between them is part of what generally makes for a really good episode. And that happens again here. But it doesn't bother me as much here as it does in some of the other times it's happened. And maybe it's because you get like the Keiko playing such a big role, and she's not really a part of like the main normal cast, but she gets so much to do, and once again we're like I said, we're bringing her in and giving her the kind of stuff that she hasn't gotten up till now, and she does it so well that it feels really gratifying to be like, okay, not only did we write her in a decent story finally, but we gave her like the chance to like stretch her muscles, her acting muscles, and she proved that she could do it. So I really liked her, what she did in the episode. I like what they did with O'Brien. I really like what they do with Rom. And we're finally like Ramen's another character that while we've gotten a little bit here and there, we've never like paid very much attention to him, except for, you would probably say, in Bar Association, where he finally kind of got to break out of his like box a little bit. And so now we're going beyond that, and we're like, look, he's actually really good at what he does, and he's like got these qualities. He's like impressing O'Brien and moving up. And so I feel like it's a really good episode in that way, that we've got these secondary cast characters that we're highlighting in this episode, in addition to making it an O'Brien episode, because it really does center on O'Brien and his struggle. I do hold it against him that he has so many opportunities to try to like not potentially screw over the station and like to try to get help, and he doesn't. Even when Odo confronts him, I'm like, here, this is where you go, like, an alien is controlling my wife and I need your help to like stop her. But no, he assaults somebody who's supposed to be his friend and knocks him out and is like, sorry about that, man, gotta go.
I mean, to be fair, he only had like 12 minutes at that point, but
yeah, I mean, you could tell Odo that. I feel like Odo is someone who could roll with that. But yeah, okay, so that does bother me a little bit, but overall I think it's a really good episode. I did not remember this one very well. And I think it's an episode that apparently has not stuck with me well. I remember the basics of it, where it's like, oh yeah, this is the one where Keiko gets taken over by the alien, and it's like, O'Brien, you have to go against a ticking clock to do random stuff for me. So that much I remembered, but the details beyond that, not really. So this is definitely not like going into Captain territory, where it's like a real standout episode for me. But I feel like it's better than the Lieutenant Commander, like just above the line. So I'm going to put this also at a Commander, and which I think I've done for maybe the last 2 episodes. But I feel like this is a real solid episode. I really like what they did. I like the writing. It even ties into like the Bajor stuff, which I always like when the show expands on that. So yeah, I feel like it's solid.
Yeah. Some good points. Yeah, I mean, we do introduce the Pa Wraiths. Maybe the only time, like we said, we ever talk about the Pa Wraiths. Who knows?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I don't mind a good like super focused episode when it feels like true for the character, I guess.
Yeah.
So instead of like like I would rather see this O'Brien story than the O'Brien in like psychic prison for 20 years.
Yeah, it's not nearly as like viscerally upsetting as that. So
we're just like, and that story could have happened to anyone, and would pretty much land exactly the same. This one is like it plays off everything we know about the chief and his relationship with his family, and
yeah, we don't have any other married characters, do we?
I guess not.
See, I don't know that you could do this with somebody else very easily.
Right.
I mean, you could do it like you could do it like Ben and Jake thing.
Yeah.
This. I mean, we just had a big Jake episode though.
It's like, or it's like the Dabo girl that Dr. Bashir slept with last night. It's like, I will kill her. It's like, oh no.
What was her name?
The fire what? It's like, comes back the next day. It's like, did you do the things I asked? It's like, oh, right.
I've been so busy. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Sorry.
I will totally get around to that later.
You're at the top of my to-do list, I swear.
It's like, oh, I gotta possess someone better. But apparently only you can possess Keiko, so...
Yeah, maybe it just can't do much body hopping. It can only go into whoever opened the crystal cage.
Yeah, that's it. Just the crystal fire cage can conduct you into a body, but you can't go body to body. You have to you have to go back into the fire cage and then jump into the other body. It's a whole thing. Which I guess she could have just been like, "Come down to the fire caves with me." It's like,
it's great. Let's go check it out.
See this fiery crystal thing? Can you touch that for a second?
Not suspicious at all. The way that she plays, whenever there's an audience, even when there's not an audience, the cheery, Keiko family woman with the super creepy undertone is just so well done.
Yeah.
Combing their daughter's hair over the view screen. It's oh, she missed her mommy. Isn't that cute? It's so threatening and so normal at the same time.
Right.
I thought it was great.
Well, because it's kind of the Pa Wraith, doesn't really even care.
No.
It's just it's doing what it has to do to get its desired effect. And yes, there's something really creepy about that. As opposed to something that's just truly evil and malicious. This is just I have a goal. I'm focused on my goal, and I'm going to and I do not care about you human beings at all.
No, it's just really pretty condescending about corporeal life in general.
It's oh, you always want to have sex in the morning, and how such weakness. What else we got? Title review.
Yeah.
The assignments.
The assignment.
I'd say it's a little weak because there's no way I'm going to remember that this is this episode.
It is so weak. It's not even a fun pun or anything. It's just it's so generic that I can see how it applies to the episode, although I feel it's multiple assignments that he gets over the course of the episode, but it's so disconnected and so generic that it's not clever, it's not memorable, it's barely relevant to the episode. So I think it's one of the weaker titles.
Yeah. It's I guess there is an assignment. But
this could have been Keiko O'Brien assigned Jake and Nog something in school.
Right. That could be a fun episode. They get this assignment and then they get into all kinds of shenanigans trying to get a good grade on this assignment or something. So, okay. Did we come up with a good nitpick of the week? Why does it have to be Keiko, not the chief?
That was a good nitpick of the week because even the show nitpicked
right.
that.
Even the writers knew that was coming. So,
yep.
And they barely made an effort to deflect it.
I'm trying to think of worse episode titles than this one.
Oh, there's a few.
Yeah, I'm sure there are.
The Wire still springs to mind.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. The Adversary, that's another super generic. Explorers, oh yeah, that's...
At least I remember
that one was relevant.
At least I remembered what Explorers was when you said it. I'm still trying to remember what the Adversary is. At first I went to Rivals, but I was no, that's a different episode.
Yeah, the Adversary is the one where they almost start a war with the Zenkethi because of the Dominion spy.
Yeah. That was definitely not a good title for that episode.
No.
Oh, who can forget the Zenkethi? The super important.
Yep, I'm sure they'll be back. Don't worry.
Yep. I'm surprised they even remembered it that one time when Captain Sisko referenced it again.
The Wire probably was the worst, just because we couldn't even figure out how it related to the episode.
Okay, so what do you think is going on in the Mirror Universe this week? What's our meanwhile in the Mirror Universe?
Well, Rom is dead in the Mirror Universe.
True.
So's Quark. Chief O'Brien is on the station, so we don't know. Maybe he's met Mirror Keiko at this point.
Oh yeah.
So this exact thing could be happening in the Mirror Universe. If we don't know that. Last we saw, I don't think they'd moved the mirror station to the wormhole because the wormhole is not coming into play in the Mirror Universe thus far.
Right. Yeah. I think they still don't. They must know it exists, right? Because
they've been over to the normal universe enough.
Smiley came over and hacked all the information out of the Deep Space Nine computers. You'd think that info would be in there.
They should just ally with the Dominion. Be like, hey, help the humans against the others, and we'll be your friends.
So
that probably wouldn't go well.
So maybe the wormhole aliens possess Miles to get Keiko to grow a plant to kill the Pa Wraiths.
The Or no, maybe like the bad guys are always on top. So the paw wraiths like kicked the prophets out and locked them in crystal cages. And so it's like they're gonna possess Miles, but they're not gonna be jerks about it. They're gonna try to like negotiate to get him to help them.
Okay. They just the paw wraith just shows up. He's like, "Hey, you want to help us with something? We'll pay you money." He's like, "Oh, okay." It's like, and we'll let you spend a week in the Celestial Temple.
Yeah, maybe the paw race, like the jerks, have been running the wormhole this whole time, and so when they have tried to send any ships in, like the ships just vanished because the paw race are like, "Nah, stay away." And so now they're like, "Hey, let's cut a deal."
All intriguing possibilities. Anyway, we can wrap it up there. You got any final stuff to throw in?
Next week's gonna be an interesting one. But about this one, I don't know that I have anything. I do you think that we need to watch like the original of next week's before we go? Because I don't know that I've ever watched that episode all the way through, to be honest with you.
Yeah. All right. If it's on Paramount Plus, I'll watch it.
Okay, yeah, I have to go check it out.
I'll watch it, and I'll sit through the Lawman Bass Reeves commercial. It's like every time you should play that commercial, I want to watch Lawman Bass Reeves less and less.
That's true of a lot of commercials out there.
I mean, I'm kind of interested in that show, but it's like you're really souring me, Paramount Plus.
Well, Paramount Plus just showed me that they actually made a second season of the Halo show, which I'm like, why? Why would you do that?
Yeah,
like, the first season was not good.
I saw a headline or something about that. I was like, for real? Wasn't that like universally hated?
Yeah, I think it was. So I am shocked that they're doing a second season. What I want a second season of is what's that Sylvester Stallone show?
Tulsa King.
Tulsa King. That was fun.
No, yeah, I think the guy who did that is now doing Lawman Bass Reeves. So I think, I mean, he's the Yellowstone guy, and he has like a million TV shows now, I guess. So.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was the Yellowstone guy.
Pretty much anything that's vaguely Western, I think, is that guy, like Taylor Sheridan or whatever. So,
okay.
Like he's got Yellowstone, all the Yellowstone spinoffs, Lawman Bass Reeves, the Tulsa King. I think there's probably another obvious one I'm missing, but.
All right.
Anyway, so yeah. I guess that's the end for us today. So, thank you for listening. You can find all our past episodes on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, other podcast platforms that I don't know the names of. YouTube. Wherever you're listening to this, and maybe some other places. But yeah, my name is Fletcher. About to say goodbye is Data.
Adios.
We will look forward to seeing you for our next discussion, but just remember, don't stand between me and the fire crystal cage.
I think we're going to go for short stack of pancakes.
Oh, definitely don't stand between me and the short stack of pancakes with extra butter.